So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a very short span of time within 30 minutes so that you cover your current affairs very quickly and you're left with your entire day covering other parts of your UPSC syllabus because they are also that is also important. Now, just watching this lecture would be job half done because just after watching it, you have to revise it as well. Why, you ask? Well, revision helps in consolidating these current affairs in your memory. Otherwise, you'll quickly forget them. Now, you can revise these current affairs from the notes provided by us, and these notes are shared on our Telegram platform. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below this video. You just have to click on that link. It'll take you to our Telegram channel, and from there you can download the notes for this lecture and do the necessary revision. Alright, let's begin our discussion for today. But first, let's take a look at the list of topics that we shall cover today. So in total, we'll be covering these 4 topics. Number 1 among them is crisis in cotton sector in India. Okay, India is known for its cotton exports, but cotton crops and cotton production has been declining for many years now. So what is this crisis all about? What are the reasons behind it and what is the way forward? We'll talk about this. Then recently, well, this term Ice Stupas has become popular in Gilgit-Baltistan region of Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Okay, there is this region called Gilgit-Baltistan region and there is an issue with water shortage there. So they have borrowed this idea of Ice Stupas from Ladakh. Ladakhi people in India do this. So what is this Ice Stupa which the people from Gilgit-Baltistan of POK, what is this idea that they have borrowed? And how does it solve the problem of water scarcity? We'll talk about this. Okay. Then we'll talk about CAPTCHA system because it is important to prevent cyber frauds. And cyber frauds are becoming a reality now. They are quite rampant. So what is CAPTCHA system? We'll talk about this. And in the end, we'll talk about 1997 Judicial Code of Ethics. This becomes especially important, especially in times where questions are being raised against the questions are being raised on the integrity of judges because a bag full of cash was found at the official residence of a judge of Delhi High Court, right? So Judicial Code of Ethics is in the news. So what is this 1997 Judicial Code of Ethics of Supreme Court? We'll talk about this. All right. So these are the 4 topics that we shall focus our attention on. Let's start discussing them one by one, starting with crisis in cotton field. So India is the largest producer of cotton and an important player in global textile industry because most of the textiles are produced from cotton. Now, cotton is not just an industrial crop. It is also a rural livelihood backbone for millions of Indian farmers, particularly in Maharashtra, Gujarat, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, and even in Punjab. Okay. However, recent reveal a stagnation in cotton production, an increase in pest resistance, and a sharp decline in exports. So you see, cotton crop is very important because it is not just the backbone of textile industry, it is also the backbone of many farmers, especially in these states. So it is very important, and cotton sector is very important for rural empowerment and also for industrial empowerment, right? Both industries and rural areas, agriculture depend on cotton. Cotton is that significant, but recently it is going through a downturn. India's cotton exports are struggling with only 27% growth between 2008-9 to 2020, 2022 and 23. And this is very slow growth because if you compare it with other countries like China, Egypt and all, well, their cotton sector has grown tremendously. Okay, but in India, it has shown very slow growth between this 12-14 year period. Okay, so the thing is, what are the reasons behind this slowdown in cotton sector? Okay, the thing is that look, cotton crop attracts a particular form of pest which destroys the crop. Okay, this pest was known as bollworm, American bollworm. So whenever farmers used to grow cotton crops, they were really wary of, they were really worried about this pest infection that cotton crops used to get. Okay, and that used to destroy these cotton crops. Therefore, in 2002, we introduced a genetically modified version of cotton seeds. Okay, it was known as BT cotton. Now, BT cotton was introduced. It was basically a genetically modified version. So you altered the genes of cotton crop so that they produce these two types of enzymes, CRY1AC, CRY2AB. Now, these two enzymes are those enzymes which impact or destroy bollworm. Naturally, you don't have to apply pesticides. Okay. So earlier cotton crop yields were down because of bollworm infection. But the thing was that in 2002, we introduced a genetically modified version of cotton called BT cotton. This BT cotton produced these two enzymes. These two enzymes destroyed bollworm. So there was no bollworm infection. And since then, since 2002 onwards, all farmers in India were growing BT cotton. And because of that, yield of cotton in India increased manyfold. And Indian farmers who grew cotton were really happy about this. But now, another pest has come into the picture, and that is known as pink bollworm. And the thing with pink bollworm recently is that initially pink bollworm was impacted by these two enzymes, Cry1AC, Cry2AB. But now, pink bollworm is becoming resistant to these enzymes. So whenever pink bollworm attacks a cotton crop now, which is actually a BT cotton crop now, these enzymes are released, but these enzymes are not affecting pink bollworm. So it does its job, it infects the entire crop and yields are falling again. Okay, this is the problem. So the problem is called pest resistance. Pests are becoming resistant to the enzymes secreted by BT cotton, right? Now, the answer to this question is that we need to introduce other varieties of GM crops, right? That's the answer. If BT cotton has stopped working, we need to introduce other genetically modified versions which would attack pink bollworm. But in India, well, there is no clarity on GM. Okay, genetic modification, there is no clarity on it. Only BT cotton is allowed, and other genetic modifications on other types of crops are not allowed. BT cotton's current versions are outdated. Newer genetically modified traits exist but are awaiting government approval for field use. And government is not approving them because many environmental activists are against GM crops. So government is also sitting on it. That is why cotton farmers are suffering. Several seed companies have developed next generation BT cotton hybrids to tackle pink bollworm. Already many private companies have developed their own versions. But these versions are awaiting government approval because they are not being approved for commercial cultivation. So we have the answer, but the government is not giving a go ahead to these answers. And the reason is that government is scared because environmental activists are lobbying against use of GM crops. Now, government has to take a decision. Where should it side with the environmental activists? Then it should tell so. Is the government ready to side with the GM crops? Then it should make it clear, but it should make it stand clear because it is stuck in a limbo because it is not doing anything. These things are happening, right? Now, government has taken some initiatives to help the cotton crop. Apart from well, government is not taking any decision as far as GM crops are concerned, but it has taken some initiatives for cotton sector. In the budget of 2023, government announced Mission for Cotton Productivity. The aim was to make Indian cotton globally competitive in quality and yield, and the strategy was to focus on seed improvement. If not GM, then focus on hybrid varieties because seeds are the answer. Okay, productivity boost and farm support. Productivity boost and farm support. But this mission's success is tied to how soon modern GM technologies are approved for use. So this mission will become successful if government clears its stand on GM technologies, which the government is failing to do. Okay, so that is the reason why cotton exports from India, cotton production from India, incomes from cotton crops are declining progressively every year. Okay, and I've told you in advance in the beginning that cotton crop is important because its advantages are twofold. It not only helps your textile sector because it gives you the raw material for textile sector, it also helps rural sector, rural demand, rural livelihood, rural income. Okay, so it is very important, and because majority of India's population is resides in rural areas, therefore rural prosperity is important. Hence, cotton is important. All right. Okay. Now let's move on to second news item of the day, which is ice stupas. So look, the thing is that, well, these cold areas in India's north and even in Pakistan occupied Kashmir, like Ladakh, extremely cold areas who remain frozen during the winter months. Ladakh, Gilgit Baltistan region, which is currently in Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Okay. Farmers in these regions, well, they depend on glacier waters. Okay. During winters, these glaciers are frozen, so farming is also suspended. But during spring and summer months, these glaciers melt and they release some water, and that water is used for growing crops. So farmers sustain themselves through these glacial waters, right? This happens. But because of climate change, and this is important, because of climate change, because of global warming, well, not enough snow is getting accumulated in these glaciers during the winter months. Okay, you do not get enough snowfall during the winter months, which feed the glaciers. So, glaciers do not have enough material. So, during the summer months, when they melt, they do not release that much water. And that is a problem, right? There is water scarcity in these regions. Now, there is a very famous personality in India. Okay, his name is Sonam Wangchuk, as you can see over here. It is this person on whom the movie Three Idiots was made. You remember Three Idiots, Amir Khan? Okay, Bollywood movie Three Idiots. It is made. It is basically inspired from him. Okay, Sonam Wangchuk is an inventor engineer from Ladakh. He's from Ladakh. Okay, so he gave this idea of ice stupas. Now, what are these ice stupas? Okay, so stupa is a dome shaped, which is used. This is a dome. Stupas basically are these dome mounds which Buddhists consider sacred and they worship them. Okay, because Buddha's relics are there. Any which way, any dome shaped thing can be called a stupa. So because Ladakhi population is majority Buddhist, so they call it stupa, but basically these are ice stupas. So what did Sonam Wangchuk say? Sonam Wangchuk said that what we should do is we water found in higher reaches, okay, in higher areas, it should be diverted through pipes. Now, water will flow in these pipes because of gravity. There is no requirement for a pump, no electricity. So, water is diverted from nearby glacial streams using gravity driven pipelines. Okay, and this water is collected at one place. Then, during winter months, this water is sprayed in the air. During winter months, these warm pipes spray water in the air. Okay, so because the temperatures are extremely cold in the Ladakh region during winter months, this sprayed water freezes. Okay, and it freezes and creates a conical shape. Now, this conical shape remains frozen during the winter months. Okay, now you have collected water in this form. Now, during the summer months, when this ice would start to melt, so the surface ice would start to melt and the water will flow, keeping the inner core intact, because the surface layer of this ice keeps the inner core insulated. So, inner core remains intact and slow melting of ice on the surface flows, and the farmers use this water. Okay, so basically ice stupas are like basically ponds, like villagers in India. Well, they collect rainwater and they create ponds in many villages of Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, right? They create ponds, but you can't create ponds in Ladakh, so you create ice ponds or ice stupas to conserve water during the winter months. Okay, these are ice stupas. Now, this invention, or this basically in Sonam Wangchuk, basically solved the problem of water scarcity in Ladakh region, especially in the context of global warming. Now, people in Gilgit Baltistan region were also suffering from water scarcity, so their government was not doing anything for them. But they saw a YouTube video of Sonam Wangchuk and they saw this idea. So now they are also implementing this idea. So farmers in Gilgit-Baltistan region have started using the concept of Ice Stupas given by Sonam Wangchuk, activist in Ladakh, to solve their problem of water scarcity. Okay, that's the thing. Now, why is this significant? Why are we studying it? Because it is a low cost solution to adapt your populations to climate change. So climate change adaptation is a big thing now, because many people feel that climate change is a reality, so you need to adapt to it. So it is a very low cost way of adapting to it, right? So what are the benefits of it? Slow irrigation, because in spring the stupa melts gradually from top to bottom, releasing water slowly, so not much gets wasted and you get enough water to irrigate your crops. Use of science, the process uses phase change, heat transfer, hydraulic gradient, because you're using gravity to transfer water. Okay, adaptation to climate change, and it is low cost, it is sustainable, community driven, and requires no heavy infrastructure. So low cost infrastructure spending and you solve the problem. Okay, this is the benefit. So whenever you have to quote any example in your mains answers with respect to community driven solutions, well, you can quote this example. All right, now let's move on to third news item of the day, which is CAPTCHA system. You all must, I'm sure everyone is familiar with it. Where you go to a website and they ask you to select some pictures, or they ask you to fill a CAPTCHA, right? I'm not a robot. You have to verify basically. We all have seen this, okay? We all have seen this, type this, okay, to verify you are a robot or not, right? This is known as CAPTCHA system. So CAPTCHA system has changed the way websites keep user accounts safe and their data protected. Okay, so from simple text-based challenges to the advanced reCAPTCHA systems we use today, CAPTCHA has made a big difference in online security. Yes, it has made a big difference. Now, the full form for CAPTCHA is completely automated public Turing test to tell computers and humans apart. So basically, this is a test to check whether a human is using a website or a robot is using. Okay, this is CAPTCHA. Clear? Because many hackers use bots to hack a website. So this is there to verify that. Clear? Now, how does it work? And what varieties of CAPTCHA we have now? So it is a human verification tool designed to distinguish between real users and automated bots. Users are prompted to solve puzzles, identify distorted text, select images, and whatnot. Now, in 2009, reCAPTCHA was introduced. It used scanned words from books to aid in digitization. Then there is this another thing which is called invisible reCAPTCHA. Uh, this invisible reCAPTCHA doesn't ask you to type anything. It just detects your mouse movement, your behavior online, to detect whether you're a human or a robot. Okay, so these things are done to basically prevent hacking and all, right? So what is its significance? Protects websites from spam, fake registrations, and automated attacks. Adds a security layer used in online forms, comment sections, polls, supported by major tech players like Google, and deployed across thousands of platforms. All right, that's all you need to know as far as CAPTCHA is concerned. What are the limitations of CAPTCHA? Because we all know that, well, CAPTCHA is there, but online hacking has not stopped. Okay, it still exists. So surely CAPTCHA is not able to prevent online hackers from doing their job completely. Okay, CAPTCHA has some limitations. What are those limitations? Accessibility issue for people with visual or auditory impairments. Yes, there is a problem, because people who are visually impaired, they won't be able to access these websites. Can be frustrating for users. There are advanced bots which fool this CAPTCHA. Okay, there are advanced bots that can go across this CAPTCHA and can even tackle this issue. It adds an extra verification step which really deters the users, because users find it complicated. Okay, that's all. Now let's talk about this news, which is very important. 1997 Judicial Code of Ethics. Now the thing is that recently, you all know that Delhi High Court Judge Yashwant Verma was in the news for all the wrong reasons, because a bag full of cash, charred notes, were found at his official residence, and people are now leveling allegations of corruption against Indian judiciary, especially higher judiciary. Right? That is the case. Therefore, Supreme Court by itself has now taken a decision that all judges of the Supreme Court, including Chief Justice of India, will publicly declare their assets. Okay. The recent decision could mark an important shift and is essentially a reiteration of 1997 Restatement of Values of Judicial Life. So in 1997, Supreme Court passed this Restatement of Values of Judicial Life. It is basically a code of ethics for Supreme Court judges. Okay, it is not mandatory, but it is a code that every judge should follow so as to introduce transparency and basically introduce public trust in the judicial system. Right? So, what is this 1997 Restatement of Values of Judicial Life? Okay. It is a judicial code of ethics adopted by Supreme Court of India in 1997 during a full court meeting. It provides a non-exhaustive 16-point framework. So it has 16 points, and those 16 points should be followed by every judge for an ethical conduct. It acts as a moral compass and accountability guide for higher judiciary, especially in the absence of statutory laws. There are no laws to ensure judicial accountability. So if every judge voluntarily follows these 16 points, then it would basically enhance judicial transparency and accountability. And declaration of assets in the public is one point in this list of 16 points. So basically, judges now are following one of the points in this 16 points. Okay. Now, in your notes, I have mentioned these 16 points. You can take a look at these 16 points from your notes. There is no point in remembering all 16 points. No one would ask you all 16 points, but just go through them. Okay. Just to get a fair idea. Just go through them once or twice. Okay. Just to get a fair idea, basically. And with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it has added value to our preparation. But it would add more value if you revise this lecture as well. Okay. So on that note, I'll be signing off with the promise of seeing you again with another set of news items. Thank you, everyone.